You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, folks. Mayoral races are happening all across the country. We, of course, spent some time in St. Louis with Tashara Jones, who's elected mayor there. New York City has a huge race that's coming up, all about to replace Bill DeBlasio. The primary will take place on June 22nd. General election on November 2nd. One of the folks who is running to take over for DeBlasio is Ray McGuire. He joins us right now. Ray, welcome to Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Dr. Martin, how you get along today?
Doing great, doing great. It is a packed field. A lot of people who are jumped in this particular race. Last polling I saw had you still in single digits. How are you going to break through? What is the messaging that you're going to lay out to reach voters there to come out on top?
So first, let me acknowledge that the highest vote getter today is undecided. So I am actively out talking to undecided with what is the greatest, most inclusive economic comeback plan in the history of this city. My platform includes the following: it's the economics. The comeback plan is 500,000 jobs. Go big, go small, go forward. It is safety and justice, and it's education. And when I go out and communicate this to New Yorkers in the boroughs, in the subway stations, in the cathedrals, in the mosque, in the churches, and in the synagogues, people are responding. In the subway stations. So people are responding. People want something different. You know, I haven't been termed out. I haven't served in any administrations, especially any failed administrations. I haven't run for office, and I'm not looking for promotions. So people want something different. They want somebody who's got a track record. And if I go out and they understand the arc of my story and the plan that I have for the comeback in this city, people are responding. So I'm quite confident with the momentum that we have. I am inspired by those who have stepped up to say, I am the right person to lead this city, not only those who have profile, but those who have no profile. So I'm confident that on June 22nd...
You see the arc of my...
Yes.
You see the arc of my story. What is that story? What is that story?
You know, where I started, Roland, I started at the bottom, right? I was raised by my single mother. I didn't know my dad. At any point in time, my mother worked 3 jobs, and then she became a social worker. And my mother, along with my grandparents, raised me and my 2 brothers, along with half a dozen foster children. So I know what it's like not to have. I know what it's like to struggle. And based on my mother's sacrifices, I was able to leave home when I was 16. I took a Greyhound bus around New England by myself, looking for education. There's a teacher who said, if you're as good as they say you are here, go test yourself against the big boys and girls in the East. So I took a Greyhound bus around at 16 years old, looking for schools, landed at a school in Connecticut where I got to the school. You know, my classmates had on those short sleeve shirts with alligators, cost more than my entire wardrobe. And I was able to do okay there. And I applied to colleges and got into college, went to Harvard College and then on to Harvard Law School and Harvard Business School. So I came to New York City with 3 things. I came with a great education, I came with a lot of debt, and I came with no money. And so people understand that when they understand that I started at the bottom and had to kick down doors and make certain that I performed at the highest levels and stayed in my job longer than anybody else in the history of corporate finance, in the history of the world, in the history of the corporate world, 13 years longer than anybody else.
Are you concerned, though, that that not enough people are hearing that story and instead they just say, oh, here's a Wall Street dude trying to buy himself into the mayoral office?
You know, people will say that. Yeah, I've heard that, you know, and what that does is it ignores a journey. I didn't just parachute into this, but I had to face conscious and unconscious bias to get here. And so, yeah, I am a 6'4", 200-pound black man who's been on Wall Street and quite proud of it, quite candidly, given my mother's sacrifices. And at any point in time, given the crisis that we're in now, this city is broken and divided, and all the others had their chance, and black and brown people have gone backwards. So somebody who's been in the room, who's made the investment in the community, who's made certain that others got the opportunity, I extended the ladder the way the civil rights leaders extended the ladder to me. I have likely created more opportunity and more wealth for black and brown people than all the other candidates combined. In the neighborhood I come up in, you know what they call that? They call that receipts. So I get receipts.
What would you say is the most fundamental issue, or the top two fundamental issues that you will do specifically for black voters in New York City? New York has the largest concentration of black voters than any other city in America. They certainly will play a huge role in who wins this election.
So, Roland, there are two fundamental things that need to take place here. One is the economy, and the other is the education that gets us into the economy. We got to transform the educational system now, not the random pre-K to 12, but we need to make certain that our children can get an education, that their lives shouldn't be determined by their zip codes. I have a plan, which is my Cradle to Career plan at rayformayor.com. That's education, which I'm going to fundamentally transform that. And then when it gets to the economy, you get educated. And if you don't have the education, I have workforce training as part of my comeback plan. Then when it gets to the economy, I'm going to be intentional on how we manage a budget. And oh, by the way, I'm the only person here who's managed budgets larger than most state budgets and been held accountable and had to identify, attract, and retain the talent as I led from the great financial recession, where our company was on life support, built the business out of that financial recession. And today, if I look at New York City, we spent $22.5 billion last year. 82%, 8 out of 10 of the MWBEs got zero. So I will be intentional here. And intentional is the same way that Harold Washington was intentional in Chicago, or Coleman Young was intentional in Detroit, or Maynard Jackson was intentional in Atlanta. I'm going to take those playbooks, I'm going to modernize them, and make certain that we get what we need. And so let me give you something, the way I think about this. We've been outside for so long that when they give us crumbs, they want us to feel full. I'm not interested in the crumbs. Matter of fact, I ain't interested in the cake. I'm interested in us owning the bakeries, which is how I have led my career, and the investments I've made in black and brown entrepreneurs, making sure that people got educated, making sure that they got jobs, they got promoted, got position responsibilities, and got paid. So it's education and the economy.
All right. Well, Ray, your folks told me you got a hard out at 7:55. I wish we had more time with you. So we certainly, I got a lot more questions. I'm sure my panel has questions as well. So hopefully we can get you back on and for a longer period of time to talk about your mayoral race and what you want to accomplish.
I appreciate you, and a lot of respect and admiration for all you do. Your leadership is exemplary. So thank you for having me, and I look forward to returning.
I appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.